Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Christina McCauley. I'm the rep for McGraw Hill Education, and I am your local. I live in El Dorado Hills, so if there's anything that you decide you need, we're literally 45 minutes away. Karina Neal is going to be your presenter, and she is a curriculum specialist, and she lives in Woodland, so she is far closer to you than I. But today, we have the opportunity to share with you McGraw Hill's Study Sync. It is a print and digital program taking your students into the 21st century. You're going to see how language arts instruction meets your students where they are, but really challenges them to meet the rigors of the new Common Core standards, giving them exposure to narrative, informational text, rich opportunities to engage in dialogue and really work on critical thinking skills. They are going to grapple, they are going to struggle and work through the program, and hopefully at the end of the time that you are going to be working with it in that four short weeks, you will see growth in your students as well. And more importantly, you will see how Study Sync can support you as a teacher and really help to move your students into the future. You're going to see how digital components as well as print components can really meet your students' needs. We have 2 hours, just shy of 2 hours, to take you through the program. It is completely interactive. We have a team of support. We are now 1-to-1.
Almost 2-to-1.
Almost 2-to-1 for you right now. And really, let me introduce the folks at the back table. Lynn Fox, Karen Beach.
Hi.
These two ladies are curriculum specialists. They work with the curriculum. So if you need support and you go, oh my gosh, I can't find my students. Oh my gosh, how can I teach this lesson? They're the ladies to call, and their contact information is inside your folder, and Karina will show you where that is. Over here, Sarah Hinsley, I'm gonna get it. She literally just joined our team yesterday. So she is brand new to Study Sync. She is from Study Sync, and she is a curriculum specialist working to support you more in-depthly. And then Zoe Nesda works with McGraw Hill Education. She is the California Marketing Manager. So she is here to see how it all unfolds with you. And together, we are your Study Sync team. So I turn it over to you, my dear.
Thank you, Christina. All right, good afternoon. Thanks for being here. I know that it's hard to continue to fill your brains at the end of a long day of hard work, but I'm super excited to share Study Sync with you today. I'm going to do just a couple quick overview pieces with you, and then pretty quickly we're going to get hands-on, so I'm really glad to see that you guys have devices in front of you. You're going to just follow along with me, because really our goal today is that so that when you leave here, you feel like you know what you're doing, right? You know what to do when you start tomorrow or Thursday or next Monday, whenever this happens. I'm also going to work on trying to highlight some pieces that I think would be really great to make sure that you experience and your students experience, since you have such a short, limited period of time with Study Sync. There's some really awesome components that I want to make sure you guys get exposed to. We're also going to make sure that you know where to find more help. So Study Sync really is a print and digital hybrid solution. This is built to the Common Core state standards and the California frameworks, but it's really built for today's students, today's teachers, and today's classrooms, with the idea of giving them the skills that they're going to need for tomorrow. So, you know, that big call of Common Core, college and career readiness, this is what Study Sync speaks to. Study Sync is different than anything else that you're going to see, and especially in 2 areas. One is the way that it inspires students. So as you're going to experience today, we're going to see this rich multimedia student learning experience. We're going to bring that student voice into the classroom and see what that looks like. We're going to do that with things like this blast. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to experience one of these. These I think of as kind of social media-like short read and write learning experiences. So it's an opportunity to engage our students in the classroom the way they're engaged outside of our classroom, but use it for an academic purpose, right? So we'll get to experience what this feels like for ourselves. But StudySync also empowers teachers. So we're going to do this a variety of ways. We've got a really nicely connected intentional connected instruction, but we also have flexible pathways. And that's one of the things that really makes StudySync unique, is the way that we've got a nice ground level, right? We've got a great starting place. You've got a new teacher, you're teaching a new grade level. You have an opportunity to say, here's how you're going to teach all of your standards this year, but we also have a ton of opportunities for teachers to make it their own, to make it what their students need, what their class description needs, right, and so on. So we're going to see what that means, as well as a variety of differentiation support. StudySync is built from the ground up, like I said, to the California frameworks and the Common Core state standards. This isn't like an old program trying to fit new ideas. This is a new from the ground up program. So you're going to see that all the instruction is guided by our authorship team of renowned leaders in education. Not sure, have any of you heard of Dr. Timothy Shanahan, Dr. Doug Fisher? They're really well known for their work in Common Core instruction and close reading routines. Has anybody heard of Caitlin Tucker in the middle here? So Caitlin Tucker is an educator, she's an author, she's really well known for her expertise in integrating technology into the language arts classroom. Now, Caitlin Tucker, that sounds really great and all, but she actually started with just a projector in her classroom. This was not a one-to-one situation, but she really worked on building ways of bringing technology into a classroom that just had a projector, because that was how her students were being engaged. All of their expertise, their instructional support, and strategies are going to be seen throughout the StudySync curriculum. And accompanying this rigorous curriculum is also this multimedia-rich student learning experience. So this is actually why StudySync was created. Robert Romano is the founder of StudySync. He had kids of his own. They were really good students, got good grades, but they didn't share his love and his passion for literature and writing and reading. So it was his idea to open up the world of great literature and writing to today's digitally minded students. So StudySync is the result of his vision. And when I say a multimedia rich experience, this looks like a lot of different things. And one of the ways that we do this is by providing an opportunity for students to see a Hollywood-like trailer. So I know a lot of times for me, that's how I decide what movie I'm going to go see, is I see a trailer. In fact, my family and I went to the new Star Wars movie over the holidays, and we saw a trailer for Zootopia, and it wasn't coming out until March. And I'm telling you, like, it was a regular conversation at our family dinner table, was like, when does Zootopia come out? Because we had seen that trailer. We went and saw it. It was great, if you haven't seen it. But this is an opportunity where StudySync harnesses that Hollywood-like trailer experience and engages students in introducing a unit and an essential question. So here we're going to watch this trailer where students are being introduced. This is a ninth grade level on ninth grade unit on empathy.
An Oklahoma family driven from home by dust and drought. An angry girl tramples a flower bed in a country town. An immigrant worker labors to survive amid corruption in Chicago. How does it feel to struggle against the odds? To be those that have no choice but to struggle. A person denied water at a public fountain because of skin color. Another, deformed by nature, forced on display at a freak show. Are we moved to pity? Do we feel empathy? Or are we comfortable at a distance? Stony is the road they trod. Why should we care? How does compassion inform our understanding of the world?
Pretty awesome way to introduce an essential question, right? a little bit better than the way I used to do it, which was I just wrote it on the corner of my whiteboard, and that was how we had an essential question. So this is also, I don't know if you notice any foreshadowing of some stories that are going to be unfolding here. So we're building an opportunity for a little bit of background knowledge for our students, giving them some things to visualize and picture, and again, an opportunity to just engage them like, maybe I'll pay attention a little bit longer, right? So provide 21st century tools with an academic purpose and standards-based outcomes that's providing access to all students is really a good way to sum this up. You're going to see that providing access to all students also is apparent in a variety of ways, including being available across all devices, anytime, anywhere. So desktop, laptop, Chromebook, tablet, even a smartphone. And I used to think that was kind of a silly thing to point out, but last year, my daughter, she was a senior in high school last year, she was supposed to be writing a 3-page paper. And I kept walking in to tell her, time to get working, time to get working, time to get working. And she continued to, I'm working on it, Mom. We had that whole mom-daughter teenage thing happening. And she, I finally was like, that's it. Give me your phone. Like, enough already. It's time to get to work. And she's like, Mom, I wrote my paper. It's on my phone. And sure enough, she had this whole 3-page paper written on her little smartphone. And to me, that was kind of an eye-opener because I was like, I kind of thought I was like, I'm hip, I'm, pretend like I'm Generation X sometimes. And I think I know what technology looks like in our kids' world. Never in a million years would I pick up a smartphone to write a multi-page paper. So I think that, again, this is another piece of evidence where we can see that this is really going to meet our students where they are outside of our classroom, regardless of if we bring it in or not, right? So I know that a lot of times we look at technology and we think, that's really great and all, but what about my kids who don't have internet, right? What about my classroom when the internet goes down on campus? Because maybe once that's happened to you. So the exciting thing is we have an app for that. So the StudySync app allows students to work offline. They can watch those trailers, they can complete their writing assignments, they can annotate their text digitally offline, and then when they get online again, their work is automatically synced up for your viewing pleasure. So this is really a nice opportunity for students to maybe use their phone if they want. They can go online at school. When they come home, their parents don't want them to suck up all the data, so they can still use the StudySync app and complete their work offline, not using any of their data. They come to school the next day and instantly their work is uploaded. Or maybe you're having them write a paper and you're worried about them losing their work while they're online, or you're worried about everybody being on at once because the school's infrastructure is still being built. So the students can go in there, complete their work, and then as soon as they're ready to submit it, then go online and their work is uploaded. So lots of opportunities to use this and really begin to kind of eliminate that fear or internet concern. StudySync teachers have a teacher resource companion, and we actually, I kind of consider this like a sampler these days. We have a new and improved version of this StudySync teacher resource, but what you're going to find in here are the lesson plans, lesson support. You'll find a variety of support and handouts for differentiation, as well as the pacing guide. And so the pacing guide consists of 4 units, 4 thematic units that you would teach throughout the year. Each one of those 4 thematic units is 45 days of instruction. And if you teach all 4 of those units, you're going to be covering every single one of your grade level standards. So this is going to integrate writing, reading, grammar, the whole kit and caboodle, okay? We will also have StudySync students able to work in a reading writing companion. So this reading writing companion can either come like this guy right here, where it's a 1 volume with all 4 units for the entire year, or in 4 unitized volumes where we can just hand one out. And this is kind of the beginning of that flexibility story. You're going to notice that these unitized volumes don't have any numbers on it, so if you wanted to change out the order, or even you'll notice there's no grade levels on this. So maybe, 11th and 12th grade are agreeing to switch out units. You do have that flexibility as well. You'll notice that these are not hardback, right? That is because these have all of the reading pieces that the students are going to be working on in a unit. And this is going to give students an opportunity to actually interact with the text, right? They can highlight, underline, annotate exactly as is called for by the California frameworks. So this is really an update to that old anthology model where students are very removed from the reading and the work that they do. This is going to give them an opportunity to really own the text and use it for those text-based conversation and those text-based writing pieces that we really want them to do. Lost my clicker here. A part of those thematic units are full text studies. So we've got a full-length novel that is integrated in each of the 4 units. And you'll see when we go online that there's teacher support, there's student support, and this is a part of that 45 days of instruction, is doing one full novel with each of the 4 units. Okay, so what I'd like to do is have you come with me online while I begin to kind of guide you through the different pieces. We're going to do a I do, you do kind of a thing. So I'm going to show you a couple pieces, and then I'm going to let you guys have a minute and click around and ask some questions, okay? So you want to go to connected.mcgraw-hill.com. And then your username will be CAStudySC, and your password is California15. Make sure that California it has a capital C. Have we all been able to get logged in there? So once you log in, you're going to see something that looks like this. Actually, you're going to see something that looks like this. And so you want to go ahead and click on the StudySync logo. And then once you do that, you'll be at this screen. And again, you want to open up that StudySync logo, and then we'll be brought here to our home page. And I'll give it a second, make sure we're all here. So when we're taking a look here, we see that there's a variety of tabs across our page here. Initially, we land on the home page, and I just want you to quickly go ahead and scroll down the home page and see what's there. You'll see that there's a list of recently visited places, anything that's new that we've added to StudySync recently. So one of the really exciting kind of cutting edge pieces of StudySync is that it is constantly evolving and growing. This is not a stagnant program. StudySync is very responsive to listening to feedback from teachers and continuing to add and meet the needs that are currently there in our classrooms with today's students. So this will be an evolving opportunity to engage your students, and this is one way that you can see what's been recently added. We then, down here, you'll see that we've got Dr. Doug Fisher talking about StudySync being used in his classroom or at his school site. You'll see some other fun things that are going on. And the very first time actually that you log into your StudySync account, this will pop up at the top, and there's just a lot of great support on getting started with StudySync. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know, a lot of times we leave that homepage really quickly, but there's a lot of great support for you on that homepage. Where we're going to go first is come with me all the way down here to the end and click on the Core ELA ELD tab. And then if you would like, go ahead and just click right here on which grade level you would like to be viewing. So you don't, I'm gonna hang out in the 9th grade platform, but you're welcome to pick your own grade, and just, you'll see that there's a lot of consistency and ease of use. And so no matter if I'm in 9th and you're in 12th, we're gonna be seeing similar layout of things. So I want to pause on this page for a minute and point out a couple of things that I think are really important for you to know are here. First of all, you'll see the top of the page that there's a scope and sequence. This is going to show you, where all of those standards are covered. So maybe you're going to move some lessons around. You'll know which standards are attached to each of those lessons. You'll see an overview document. This overview document is really going to talk about the text complexity pieces and why we chose which pieces to go in which areas. As you scroll down, you'll see that we have all of our units laid out. So unit 1, 2, right below the units live our designated ELD unit. Do any of you teach designated ELD or? So, okay, I'm going to quickly show that to you in a little bit, but these are tightly connected designated ELD units to support what's happening in the core part of their day. So while this is intended to be used as designated time outside of the core time, a lot of teachers are using this just as kind of RTI support, reteaching support, a variety of ways that you can use this in your core time too. So again, as we continue to go down, you'll see the rest of the units here. Next, I want to take you to the pacing guide. So go ahead and click on the pacing guide that lives right above the poster for your unit. And you'll see a lot of great support in the pacing guide. So this pacing guide, like I said, this is just a suggestion, right? This is I'm teaching StudySync for the first time, or I'm a new teacher, or this is where do I start with this? This is going to give you a really nice foundation. So you'll see that we've got a lot of background support up there. And then when we get into the big picture here, this is kind of a big idea of what StudySync looks like when we put it all together and put it into action. So you'll see that we've got a day-by-day suggestion of what it is you might want to do. So this is how we've suggested that you get your writing, your reading, your grammar, all of that into the 45 days of instruction. I just want to point out real quick before we move on the titles of these columns. So we've got the instructional path, which is our reading pathway, the extended writing project, a research project, and these two are referring to that full text study or that anchor novel that goes along with each of our units. And so those are the different categories. And you'll see sometimes you're doing, working in a couple of those, sometimes you work in one of those, sometimes you work in 3 of those. So this is just going to give you an idea of how this all comes together. Now, you guys are all on your devices. You've opened this up, and you'll see that this opens up in a tab, right? And depending upon how you have this set up on your computer, you might need to go down to your, you might need to go down to where your icon is for the browser that you're using, and you'll see that that icon is going, when you hover over it, that it has more than one screen. So there'll be like a StudySync page and then your other page. So you just want to click back over to your StudySync page, and that will take you back here. You can also, to navigate that, you can click this little reduction. And actually, StudySync has recently added this cool feature. Go ahead and do this with me. So click on your drop down in the corner in the upper right, and see how the first option says regular window. Does yours say that? Yeah. Click on regular window.
Mine just says notifications and profile.
Which browser are you using? Yeah, but the demo site works, but what browser are you using?
Safari.
Yeah, so you want to be in Chrome to see that option.
Okay.
Yeah. But what's really cool about this is that you'll see that now it's all in tabs, so I don't have to do any of that juggling around like I just did. So just note to self, when you go into Study Sync, you want to hit that drop down and go into regular window, and then you'll have it all show up as tabs. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my core page, and I'm going to open up Unit 1. So go ahead and click on the first unit, or whatever unit it is that you want to look at. And let's just pause here for a second. So a couple things I want to point out to you. One is you'll see that there's a really nice consistency in the layout, and it's very user-friendly here, where we have all of the kind of places we're going to go, whether this is a unit or a lesson or a student or a teacher page. This off to the left here is going to tell you where you're navigating to, where the different places are you can go. You'll see that we have an overview, and that's that video I showed you. So this is how you would find that unit opener video. And then what do you notice about the names of these next blades here? Anything look familiar? These correlate with the tops of the pacing guide, right? So these are the same pieces as those titles at the tops of those columns. So if it says day 1, do this in the instructional path and do this in the research project, then this is how you're going to decide, this is how you're going to find that content, okay? Now go ahead and click with me into the instructional path. And that instructional path is going to take you to that reading routine. And you'll see all of the reading pieces that go along with this unit. Now, if you're looking in the student reading writing companion, you'll see that in the table of contents for this unit, all of the same reading pieces are in the print that we have available to us online. So students could be working 100% in print, and maybe you're just logging in here to just show them, right? You're just displaying it from here. But if you had a situation where your students were logged into a computer, they would be able to have access to whatever you assign to them as well. Okay, so when I go into the instructional path, like I mentioned, this is these are all the reading pieces that we're going to be working within our unit. You'll notice a really nice variety of classic and contemporary pieces, as well as a nice variety of cultural pieces, right? So we've got poems and short stories and excerpts from novels and longer essays. We also have in green is going to indicate the full novel study that goes along with this unit. Now, if that's not a novel you teach in your grade level, that's totally fine. Another opportunity for flexibility in Study Sync is that you don't have to use the full novel. This is just the one that we're providing support and link to for the unit that you're doing here. So I always say, if you don't want to teach that novel, just pretend like the full text novel blade isn't here, right? So when we look at the instructional path and we scroll down, actually I'm going to go here down to the Martin Luther King Jr. speech. And what I want to point out first is the flow of instruction here. So what we've got is this close reading routine where we've got a first read, we have a skill lesson or two, and then we have a close read or a follow-up read where we're reading with a focus and a purpose. This is one of the places where we're going to see Dr. Doug Fisher's work in action. This is his close reading routine, and it's really intended to build, that fluency, that comprehension, and helping the students learn how to analyze and access complex text. So let's take a look at what what kind of support is provided in each of these each of these lessons. So first I want to point out that for every single lesson or activity you see here, there's a complete lesson plan. So when we click on that lesson plan, and I'm going to see, all of that important information. We've got all the standards that we're covering, all of that goodness. How are we working on helping the students access the complex text? But what I really want to highlight for you here is how we have the core pathway. So here's what am I doing, right? What am I doing during the instruction of this lesson? But we also have an access pathway. So this is providing you step by step for every single lesson. How am I going to support my emerging learners? How am I going to support my expanding learners, my bridging students, my approaching grade level learners, right? So not necessarily second language learners, but students who aren't quite at grade level reading. And then we also have, and again, you'll notice very specific support on questions to ask, activities to do, pairing suggestions. So, you might use this for just if you've got a class that's kind of got a lower group of students, maybe you're really navigating this lesson through the access pathway. But then you'll also see support for our learners who are ready to go beyond, right? So those extended learners, a lot of times you're going to see these kind of DOK level 4 type questions where we're really taking it to the next level with them. So the access pathway is providing EL support, differentiation for non-EL students, and differentiation for our extended learners, our learners who are ready to go beyond. So really that universal access piece, right? This is provided for you for every single lesson in every single unit. You'll also see below the lesson plan option that we have access, what we call access handouts. So access 1 is for that emerging level student. Access 2 is for the expanding. Access 3 is for the bridging student. And access 4 is that approaching grade level reader. I find these really exciting because I used to spend a lot of time making those scaffolded notes, right, for students on IEPs and my language learners to help them access the grade level content that I'm teaching to, the on-level students. So what you're going to see here are scaffolded note-taking opportunities where we're going to have fill in the blank pieces. You'll see a lot of extra support in vocabulary. You'll see graphic organizers. There'll be sentence frames in here. And these are really going to be available, or they're going to be at each level. So this is not only one version of scaffolded note-taking, which is all I could pull myself together to create. This is 4 different levels of the scaffolded note-taking, right? All 4 levels of students. So I just think that's really cool. These are currently PDF downloads. You can also find them in your teacher lesson plan, teacher support piece, but we're about to be adding this to part of our Google Docs integration. I don't know, do any of you guys use Google Classroom or Google Docs in your classroom? Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that StudySync is really good at responding to teachers, and our Google Docs integration is a really good example of that. So we have an opportunity for so last semester, this wasn't even a thing in StudySync. And now we had heard from teachers repeatedly that, hey, this is really great and all, but we use Google Classroom. We really wish it could talk to StudySync. And StudySync responded by creating a Google Docs integration. So currently, you can send any of our writing activities off to Google Docs. You'll have all the functionality of the Google Docs interface, that immediate feedback, all of those different pieces. Once that's completed, the student can send it back to StudySync, and then you have access to all the StudySync tools and all of those different things that we're about to see. So that's really awesome. That's currently live and ready to go. And then the next layer of this is being able to send off these access handouts and our other handouts to be able to interact with through the Google Docs account too. So pretty awesome opportunity to, again, kind of work with those tools that we're already using that are going to provide an easier platform for us. Another great thing that you'll see here is that we have a student preview button. So there's no need to log out, remember a student login, go log in as the student to see what it looks like as a student, right? One click, we can click student preview button. So go ahead and do that with me on any of those first read lessons. And again, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to see that consistent platform off to the left here. So this is telling the student, here's the flow of this lesson. Now again, if I'm teaching this and maybe my students aren't all one-to-one today, but they've all got their print pieces in front of them, I might open this up again so that I can teach the lesson through the student platform, right? This is that student view. The introduction is another opportunity for a cool trailer. So I'm going to show you the one that we have here. And this is a trailer that's going to introduce the students to this, oh, hold on, that's going to introduce the students to this reading activity. I think I lost my volume here. My speakers went down. Hold on. Okay, here, let's use my computer.
Confirms that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has been shot and killed in Memphis. Instead of a campaign speech, he delivers the tragic news to the crowd. People scream in shock and grief. The senator calls for unity, for understanding, for adherence to Dr. King's dedication to nonviolence and compassion for our fellow man. Read Robert F. Kennedy's historic speech on the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr.
So pretty cool opportunity there. I love that those are all kind of first-hand resources, right, with the pictures and the ideas. And again, these trailers I see as a really big benefit for our struggling readers. So this is going to give them a little bit of background, an opportunity to see a little bit, get some visualization going about what they're about to read. Then we get to the read section. And in the read section, if you turn to any of your reading pieces and you went to the same one online, you're going to see the exact same reading piece in the student book that you'll see in the online piece. So again, giving students an opportunity to either work with the print version or they can work with this online. Now, if your students were one-to-one or they were working on this from home or some device, they would have their own login, they'd go in and they'd access this because you decided that you were going to assign this to them. When either you are using this as a teaching tool or you're using this for your students to do their work online, we're going to have all the same opportunities that we have when we're working in our print. So the students, again, in the print, they can highlight, they can annotate, they can underline, but they can also do that digitally. So you'll see here, digitally, I can just click and highlight. Gives me an option to add a note or add a highlight. In the first read lessons, we're usually asking students to make predictions about vocabulary words based on contextual clues. So they might be going through this document and they're clicking add note and they're going to make their predictions. They save it, done for the student, right? They don't have to submit, they don't have to do anything else. If their internet went out right now, you would have access to whatever annotations they had made thus far. And let's say as a teacher you wanted to see, okay, I just want to quickly see that they did all those annotations for the vocabulary. Down here at the bottom you can click View All and you can see a list of all the annotations that they've just made. You can see the text that they highlighted and the note that they made. You can even see it down to the minute when they did that, which is a lot of information. So you'll see that we can also highlight and just add a highlight, and those are two different colors. The highlight's going to show up in yellow and the annotated highlights are going to show up in pink. But one of the cool things that we get to do when we're online versus in our print is we have the audio reading of the stories. So I'm just going to play you a quick, actually let me see if I can make this speaker work. All right. Just doesn't want. Okay, well, we can listen to it from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm only going to talk to you just for a minute or so this evening because I have some very sad news for all of you. Could you lower those signs, please? people who love peace all over the world. And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight.
So this is a real moment in history, right? Pretty powerful moment to be able to share with our students, an opportunity to engage them in a way that reading that text is not going to engage them. We also have many of our texts that have audio text highlight.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And you can click around, which is nice. You can also reduce the speed by 25%. So our students who are, again, approaching grade level readers or struggling readers, I see this as a really nice opportunity to give them a chance to maybe listen to this the night before we read it in class. That's often a big source of anxiety, right? Is, oh, I don't want to read it out loud, or I don't want follow-up questions because I'm not going to be able to answer them. So we have a chance to click on that slow audio. And then again, we can click around. You'll notice that that's that appropriate syntactical chunking, right? So lots of teaching opportunities, fluency opportunities, and so on. So these are some cool features that you have. Oh, and then there's also the numbering of the paragraphs, which will match up to the way that they've been numbered in the print piece. And this is just another great opportunity to have those text-based conversations, those text-based writing pieces. So I'm gonna, actually let me finish showing you this, and then I'm gonna let you guys just click around in there for a second. So the next layer of this first read lesson is something called Sync TV. This is a really unique piece to StudySync. You're not gonna find this type of support anywhere else. Now, do you guys have Avid at your schools? Are you familiar with Avid? So I was an Avid teacher for a long time, and one of the things that we strive to do, and the goals of Avid are really similar to the goals of Common Core, right? College and career readiness. We used to do something called tutorials, where the students, we were preparing them to learn how to have collaborative academic conversations. So StudySync recognized that this was a need, and so what they've done is they've created these videos that are models of students having these academic conversations about the text that they've just read in class. And so when I watch these, I often think about my own children. Even though they're big, they still like to watch Disney Channel. And it's not because Disney Channel is their real world, it's because it's just what is engaging to them, right? And so this, again, is an opportunity for us to engage students in a way that is meaningful to them. So this is an opportunity for students to see other students having these text-based collaborative conversations. And I apologize, the speaker went out. I'm not sure what happened.
Did you guys watch that video of Robert Kennedy giving a speech? It's all over the internet.
No, should I?
Definitely. Wow. The way the crowds react when he says Martin Luther King was shot and killed tonight in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, they sounded like they were about to break out into a riot.
But Kennedy calmed them down or something
Oh,
because
thank
by
you.
the end, they were all clapping.
I would have been scared to tell them.
No,
The
it's
whole crowd
this
of people,
speaker.
I would have been like, go ahead, you tell them yourselves.
Yeah, but that's what great leaders
Is
do,
it on?
right? I mean, he was running for president. They get out front and tell people
Woo!
the truth.
On that note, should we take a look at the problem?
Got it right here. Write a response in which you explain the function of the...
Is that how all your students have conversations? No, probably not. So this is just an opportunity for kids to see. So one of the cool things about this is that you'll see that in those lesson plans, you're going to see timestamp suggestions of when you might want to stop the video and what kind of conversation you might want to have. We really have the intention that you'll use these for a purpose of teaching them how to have collaborative text-based conversations. So there's a lot of ways to use this. Some teachers will just use like a little clip, and they'll just show one little clip and have a conversation about that, and that's all that they address. Some teachers will show the whole thing. Some teachers will have kids watch these on their own time and answer some questions. So a lot of different ways to use this as a teaching tool. But And, you know, it's one of those things that it might look a little bit cheesy to kids at first, but when we keep going back to like, but this is what I want you to do, but this is what I want you to do, their collaborative conversations grow. And I'm seeing this and hearing this from our teachers who've been piloting since the beginning of the year. So it's a pretty awesome opportunity. When I go into that last phase of this first read lesson, you'll see our think questions. So if you are looking in the print, you'll see that at the end of the text, our think questions are here as well. So again, students can work in their print or they can work digitally, whatever works for your guys' situation. These are comprehension-like questions. This is an opportunity for that formative assessment. Did they read it? Did they understand it? And you'll see that they can click through here and answer the different questions digitally. Again, once they answer it, this is saved in their binder and you get to have full access to their work. Because this is a Sync TV lesson, the last few questions are based on that Sync TV episode. So maybe you didn't have time in class to have a conversation about these videos, but you really want them to work on it. We're gonna chunk these out into 3 different chunks and then give your students questions to respond to make that a meaningful learning experience. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to let you guys click around in this first read for a second and just kind of play with the highlighting and do what you want to do. I'm going to give you like 3 minutes or so to just click around. Yeah.
These are just questions related to what you've already told us.
Yeah.
So the novel, when you're telling us that one of them we have the complete, now I can't find the word, but a full-length novel.
Mm-hmm.
Is part of it in here, or the whole thing is in here for the full-length novel?
The full-length novels can come to you, and this is one of those things that you choose if you were to purchase, either as an actual print piece or as an ebook. So you get to pick which one, and you even get to pick which novels. So if you're choosing not to do the ones that we've designated for your grade level, that's okay. You just pick whichever novels it is that you want to use.
And that's the list in one of the
Yes.
ancillaries. There's a big list of.
So one of them says library list, and then there's another one that's a novel list. So make sure that the library list is different from that. But we can pretty much get almost any novel. It's not really confined.
So is it a paperback or hardback?
It's
The novel.
paperback.
And so does that mean, does it become consumable? Do we get, for every year that we get these, do we get novels?
No, it's kind of like the way we do it now, where it's like, you know, you get however many for your student population, they're in the library, and the kids check it out when you come to that novel.
Okay.
So
But we get one for each textbook that we order. So like if I'm ordering for 400 seniors, I get 400.
I believe so,
Okay.
and of course our sales reps just stepped out, but when she
Okay.
comes back we can confirm that. But those are the kinds of things that you guys work out
Okay.
with her. In general though, yes, that's the way that works.
And so then do we get, and I'm sorry to ask.
No, please.
And so do we get the consumable for every year of the adoption?
That's again totally negotiable. Absolutely, if that's what you want, then yes. Yep. And so the other thing, you had asked, is there any bit of the novel in here versus in there? So some of them, like in this unit that we're looking at here, you'll see that To Kill a Mockingbird is also one of our lessons in the lesson pathway. So if it's one of the lessons in the instructional pathway, the excerpt from that lesson will be in here for the instruction. But as far as that full novel study, you're going to be working out of the full novel. Yeah. Yeah, so go ahead and if you haven't done so already, click into your grade level and then a unit. And then right now we're just in the instructional path. You want to click on one of the reading pieces, and all we're doing is we're just playing with the content that's in the first read. So you can open up the student preview. Also, actually really quick while we're here, I want to point out that nothing in here is assigned to your students until you click that assign button. So while you're kind of mapping out your next 4 weeks, for example, you're not going to have time to get to all of these lessons. Maybe you just want to do the first 4 weeks of that pacing guide, or maybe you just want to do, you know, whatever you can fit in the reading pathway. It's up to you how you do it, but you can open up the student preview, look at the lesson, say, yeah, this is something I want to teach. No, it's not, but if you decide yes, you hit assign, super easy. You assign it to your group of students, and it's now going to show up in their assignment piece, okay? So go ahead and click into the student preview or the lesson plan or the access handouts and just play around with those first read lessons, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Did I miss it? I'm sorry, I should have brought you up earlier. Oh, just tag, and I'll switch out. Oh, that's right. Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Or watch us. So, how, we didn't compare our books, but we just assumed we would have the same,
Unit.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't seem like we do. Is that possible?
For the pilot,
Right.
just so you guys know which unit you want to do.
Well, we haven't decided yet, but
Uh-huh. Oh, absolutely. Whatever you want. These are the ladies back here. They want to have the same unit, and right now,
Oh, are is one of you round A and one of you is round B?
we're both A.
You should both have the same unit. Well, we can make that happen for you. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, I didn't look at, I just picked up one out of the box and this is what it was. So I was assuming,
and that one came out of your box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll make sure
we'll
that.
double check tomorrow when we get
Okay.
back.
So are there two different 12th grade teachers from endocrine piloting for round B?
No, we're the only one, no, we're the only 12th grade English teachers.
Okay.
Well, that's not entirely true. We have an IB teacher, but she's not gonna be piloting the 12,
Okay.
I wouldn't imagine. Let me look and see.
Let me do some research and I'll get back to you, girl.
Yeah, and this is Christina's information too. So if you
Okay.
go and look and you're like, oh, wait a minute, we have the same one, then you can go back and just email her and let her know. Okay, let's come back to this. I want to point out one navigational piece here for you that really makes life awesome. So when you have opened a lesson and you are like, okay, I've looked at this, I want to go back to where I just was, you can hit the little X right here in the corner, and this little X just makes this lesson go away, and it takes you right back to where you left off in your instructional pathway. I get a little bit excited inside when that happens because up until actually a couple weeks ago, like Macy's.com didn't do that, and so you would have to like click back out of your dress or something and then scroll back down to where you were. And so this used to make me really excited, and I used to say that all the time, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks ago Macy's went back to exactly what StudySync does. So I just think that's a really nice, you know, if you're quickly planning and you want to quickly get back to where you were, you just hit that little X and you're back there. Okay, so let's come back to this instructional pathway. And I want to take you through a skill lesson. So I'm going to click through and show you the pieces of a skill lesson, then I'm going to let you experience a skill lesson. I just want to point out that for even the skill lessons, you're going to have a lesson plan, you're going to have all those scaffolded handouts, and then I can open up my student preview. This skill lesson is author's purpose and point of view. And these are a 3-step gradual release model. So this is like an I do, we do, you do. In the past, a lot of times what we would do is we would go into our glossary or something, we'd look up the definition of one of these terms like author's purpose, we'd read about it, we'd talk about it. And we can still do that. We've got our definition down here where we're talking about what author's purpose is. But this is another opportunity that StudySync is really bringing that student voice into the classroom and providing an opportunity for students to tell each other about these different definitions. So I'm just going to show you a quick clip here about one of our Sync skills lessons, which is an opportunity for students to talk to your students about skills.
I would say to the House, as I have said to those who have joined this government, I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat.
Winston Churchill, blood, toil, tears, and sweat.
Well, that's good, but...
Oh, give me another one.
Wait, Christina, this isn't a quiz. I'm trying to talk about the author's purpose.
Oh, well, I can help with that. Author's purpose is the intention of the writer.
Also know that every single one of our videos, down here I can hit CC, and they all have closed caption option too.
You know, we're not on a game show, right?
But if we were, I'd be...
That's the first phase, so we're talking about what is author's purpose and point of view in this case, in this lesson. The second phase is that we do, that model. And what this is going to do is it's going to take us back into the text. So we're coming back to our print piece if we're in print, or back to the reading piece online. And we're going to model where we're seeing that author's purpose and point of view. And we're going to have a discussion that's based on the reading piece. Again, very connected instruction. Everything is intentional and with a purpose, okay? The last phase of these lessons, and all of these have an opportunity to annotate if you're looking at the work online. And then the last phase of these lessons is the your turn. So this is an opportunity for students to show what they've learned. You'll notice that these are really smarter, balanced looking in 12th grade. I don't know that that matters as much, but it does matter for other grade levels, right? And so we've got a chance to see these side-by-side problems where we've got the text on the left, you've got two-part answers on the right. Students can complete these digitally and get automatic feedback from them. So just a nice opportunity to practice the way we want them to perform. This, a lot of times we hear the question of, you know, do you have smarter balanced prep books or whatnot? And we don't, but that's because we have a curriculum, right? We have a curriculum where Smarter Balance is embedded, Smarter Balance like questions are embedded every day in every lesson all year long. Students are being asked to respond to the think questions, the your turn questions, as we'll see next, the write questions. So lots of opportunities for them to engage the way we want them, or practice the way we want them to perform. So go ahead, I'm going to click my little X and head back to the instructional pathway, but I'm going to give you just a minute or two to open up a skill lesson and play around in there for a minute. You finding everything okay?
Yeah.
Hope I have that effect on some ladies.
That was a good one. You'll notice that these characters in these videos have personalities, and they're definitely, the characters kind of continue as they show up in different episodes, sync episodes, and they're pretty funny. Let's go ahead and hit that little X up in the corner like this one right here. So go ahead and X out of this lesson, and we're going to come back to that instructional path. And I just want to briefly take you through the different pieces in that close read or that reread lesson. So the reread or the close read lesson, if I open up the student preview, you'll see, I just want to point out real quick, you'll see that there's vocabulary pieces, graphic organizers, student model for the writing lesson that they're going to be asking them to do in this lesson. When I open up the student preview, we've got another opportunity to see that intro video. Here are those vocabulary words. So we're going to say, hey kids, so you made predictions the first read. Let's see how you did, right? And so we're going to do some of our vocabulary instruction there. We get into the second phase, which is a reread, but we're rereading with the eyes that looking through a different lens, right? We've got a specific focus. And these are our skills focus. So these are the things that we want the students to look for when they reread. If they're working in their print, you'll see that those skills focus questions show up right after the think questions in the print book. So depending upon where they are working from, they're going to go back into their text. They're going to not be answering these questions on a separate piece of paper. We want them to answer these questions embedded in their reading. So we want them to annotate the answers to these focuses or these questions. So you'll see I scroll down, my reading piece pops back up, any of my previous annotations pop up. I can easily edit those, get rid of them, start over, add whatever it is that I want to do. That's my reread with a focus. And then all of our close reading routines wrap up with a writing exercise. So this is a writing prompt where we're asking our students to synthesize the reading that they've done with the skills that they've learned from the skills lessons. So this is a really nice opportunity for, we've been building up to this, right? You'll see that if you follow the pacing guide, that you get about one of these a week. And so there's about one short writing response opportunity a week. Again, this writing prompt is in the print book. It follows right after those skills lessons, or those close skills focus. So you'll see the close read, and then the writing prompt is in this orange box right here. So students can complete that in print or complete it digitally. This is one of those opportunities that currently, if you're using Google Classroom and you have this linked up to it, the students linked up to their Google Classroom or their Google Doc account, there'll be a button at the bottom down here where the students can just say, send it to my Google Docs account. They can complete it and do the work in their Google Docs account and then bring it back to their StudySync account. So anytime that they see a write piece, they have access to do that. You'll see that there's also a grading rubric. These grading rubrics there's like default rubrics that go with different lessons that are provided by StudySync. But again, flexibility, the name of the game here. So you also have an opportunity to create your own rubrics. And not only can you create your own rubrics, but you can push them out. Maybe you're sharing amongst a grade level. You have a 12th grade rubric that you want to use. Maybe amongst the whole district. You know, all of the 10th grade teachers we want using the same writing rubric. You can push it out amongst your whole district. So an opportunity to really either use the rubric that we've already provided or work from a rubric that you've created. You'll also see that we can open the text in a new window, and this is going to pull up my text that I've done my annotating on. So again, those think questions and those skills focused questions in the reread have all been building me up to responding to this writing prompt. So I already have annotations in here that are going to support my response to my writing and really help ensure that I am going to write a text-based response. Okay? So lots of cool things happening in the writing piece. When students complete the writing digitally, they can they're then open to something that we call anonymous peer review. This is one of the ways that we really work on building the writing skills of our students, is by giving them an opportunity to work on rating each other's work. So when a student completes their writing online, they'll then be given this prompt, hey, do you want to review your peers' work anonymously? And if they say yes, they will be then given the work where here's a reminder of what the prompt is, here's a reminder of the text. Again, that consistent flow of information and how to access this process. Then they go to read their peer's response. So here's the peer's response, and then they get to respond. So here's the rubric that the teacher assigned to go with this. Here's where they can give a response. And then they can also give rubric scores based on, again, whatever the rubric is that you decided you wanted to go with this lesson. One of the cool features I think about this is when the students are in here and they click through these buttons, different windows pop up of like, here's what a 3 out of 4 means, here's what a 4 out of 4, depending upon whichever one they've highlighted, which is so awesome because a really great opportunity to get students in touch with the rubric and what does each one of those rubric responses mean, right? This is also what we're hearing from teachers is that this is really raising the bar for the students writing. When they know that they're writing to each other, they're really kind of working at a higher level. And it's also a nice opportunity for you guys to get a little help looking at the different assignments and knowing, you know, oh, maybe I need to take a closer look at this student's work and so on. So research shows that students getting feedback on their writing within 48 hours is vital. In fact, beyond that 48 hours, students it kind of goes away. They don't even remember what they wrote usually, right? So it's really more impactful for that immediate feedback opportunity. We all know that we don't have time to do that in the real world on a regular basis, so this is a great opportunity for them to get that immediate feedback as well. So this is true for any of the writing assignments or the think questions that the students complete online. Okay, so I'm going to X out of there, and that is our reading routine in a nutshell. And you'll notice that some lessons like blasts pop up, and we're going to talk more about those, but I just want to point out that these blasts in this instructional pathway are for a really academic purpose based on what it is we're focusing on here. So we're talking about the power of persuasion here. If you look at the top here, we've got a blast introducing the students to the concept or the title empathy. So we have an opportunity to really show students in an engaging way. Dynamic lessons. That's kind of the word that I think of a lot is like, it's something a little bit different every day, right? We've got videos to watch, we've got an opportunity to do peer review, we've got an opportunity to do blasts, lots of different ways to keep it interesting. I'm going to move on now to our extended writing project. Go ahead with me if you're still on this page and click into that extended writing project. And this is another one of those things that I get excited about in StudySync because this takes you and your students from beginning of the writing process to the very end. You're going to see 4 different writing genres. So there's one that goes with each of those thematic units. In this case, we're looking at one that's on argumentative writing. You'll see one, and it changes a little bit depending upon your grade level standards, but you'll usually see like a narrative, an informational or explanatory, and then a lot of times the 4th one's gonna be argumentative with comparative texts. So a lot of opportunity to build the students up and through these different genres. So if we take a look at the type of instruction we have here, you'll see there's a lesson to get it kicked off on here's what argumentative writing is. We have, in this case, the beginning of our 5-step writing process. So we have the pre-write, which is our first step. We have a skill lesson on thesis statement, another opportunity to incorporate that social media-like reading and writing opportunity, but here we're teaching about audience, purpose, and style. We've got a skill lesson on argumentative writing, skill lesson on supporting details, the second phase of our writing process, which is the plan. We get into another skill lesson, and again, you'll see that these are specific lessons for the argumentative writing genre. So this is going to be unique and different depending upon which writing process you're looking at. Then we get to the third phase, which is the draft. There's a blast in here on sources and citing, which I think is awesome because those can be really boring conversations, right? Really not very fun lessons to teach when we're talking about sources and citations. Then we get to the fourth phase, which is revision, and then the final phase, which is edit, proofread, and publish. Every step of the way in this writing process, there's always open opportunity for that anonymous peer review. And I just want to remind you that just because it's called anonymous peer review, it is absolutely not anonymous to you. So you have full, if a student's like, oh, so-and-so wrote, or somebody wrote something weird on my response, you can easily go into that student's paper and everybody's names are there with everything they wrote. You can delete things that they say, you can, disable them from being able to do this type of activity. So lots of opportunity for you to control that. So I just wanted to show you a quick piece here. So I'm going to let you guys actually just click around for a few minutes in the extended writing process project, and you can, click into some of those lessons and see what they look like. So a couple of things I want to add while we're looking at that extended writing project is that the lessons that go along with the extended writing project are also in the print book. So in the back of the student book or the end of each unit, you'll find those lessons supported in the print. And then also just when we kind of think back to that pacing guide, the way that it's proposed, that it's laid out, and here they start about midway through the unit, and then they're kind of spread out over about 2 to 3 weeks of instruction. And so that's intentional because all of the lessons we've been doing the first half of the unit are kind of working towards building the skills for this writing project. Again, you get to pick. If you're like, I want to do everything else up front and then just focus on this for 5 days, you get to pick and decide when these things get assigned. The pacing guide is just a suggestion, but just remember that that's kind of how it's laid out in the pacing guide. Any questions about the extended writing project before we move on from that? Okay, so next, we're going to talk about the research project, and just a couple things I want to say about this. One is that this is how we kick off a unit, and so I really like that because we get a chance to let the kids research, in this case, empathy, right? And we're having them not only research what that means, but what it looks like across history and across media resources. So what you're going to find in these is an opportunity, if you like some of those like project-based learning type lessons or group work, collaborative work, this is where a real solid place where you're going to find that. So when you're looking at this lesson, you'll see that it's kind of an open-ended opportunity. So you'll see, altogether this is about 125 minutes of instruction, but if you look at the way it's laid out in the pacing guide, it goes over quite a few days of the pacing guide. Again, up to you, but what you're going to see here is a couple things. You'll see that we have an opportunity for those speaking and listening standards to be addressed. That's because these are going to culminate in an oral presentation. You'll see that we have suggested topics for the small group research. So you could do this a variety of ways. You might assign the topics to the different groups. You might give them a list and say, pick which one that you want to do your project on. Pick 2, however you want to do this, and then they get to do the research, be engaged, work collaboratively, but then when we do the presentation, we're giving the students listening an opportunity to learn everything that their peers have pulled together. So this is just a really nice way to give our students some background on the topic we're about to spend a whole quarter of instruction on, right? So it's a really nice way to give that topic meaning for them. And then last but not least, we'll quickly talk about the full text study. Like I mentioned before, this is flexible. When I show you our library, you'll see that we've got other ways that you can pull in other novels. But what this full text study is going to provide you with is a complete teacher guide where we're supporting some of the vocabulary you're going to see, those comprehension questions along the way, and then the student pieces where the students might complete, some of the activities and things. So it's just a complete support piece that will take you from beginning to end of a novel study. Okay, so that's what's in a thematic unit. Are there questions about that, or what this looks like all together, or different pieces you want me to show you again? Are we good? Okay, I'm going to hit that little X in the corner, and I'm going to go back to my unit overview, where I can see that we've got our designated ELD unit down here, and I'm just going to quickly show you a couple pieces on that designated ELD piece. You'll see that the designated ELD piece has the same theme and the same essential question as what was happening in the core pathway, which is why this also becomes a tool for us to use in our core classroom, because there's a lot of extra support in here. So when I look at that instructional path, I'll notice that there's some similarities and some differences. So we've got some of the same reading pieces that we had in our core instructional pathway, as well as some additional support pieces. You'll see as I look down and go through this that there's opportunities for extra reads. These lessons are focused more on vocabulary and oral language. So again, if you've got a group of kids who are really approaching grade level readers and so on, you might want to work with and use some of these assignments. I'm just going to quickly point out that you'll see that each one of these assignments has 3 levels of the assignment. So a level for emerging, a level for expanding, a level for bridging. So if you are using this for your actual English language learners or in your designated time, we've got opportunities for them to access it at their different levels of language. Okay? And then these also have an extended oral project where it's just like our extended writing project, but it's about completing an oral presentation. And again, I see a lot of opportunities to use these lessons even if you're not teaching a designated class, because what you're going to see is an instructional flow that's going to teach kids about, putting together an oral presentation. And a lot of times our students could use that, right? So we're looking at, brainstorming, creating an outline, developing a sequence, but you'll see, refining the type of language that you're using, giving feedback to each other, practicing with note cards, practicing without note cards, presenting. And so you could totally use this in support of the research project, right? So just lots of opportunities to use this even if you're not a designated teacher. When I go back here, we have a lot of flexibility, like I mentioned before. So teaching with thematic units is just one way that we provide opportunities for instruction. But something really exciting that StudySync offers is our library. And this is kind of what Christina was talking about just before we got started. So go ahead and click over to the library. That's just the next tab over from the core ELA, ELD. And I'm going to orient you with this, and then I'm going to let you play with it because this is a really fun tool. So what you'll see in here, right now we have 1,214 different texts available in the library. And those aren't just texts, those are texts that come with lessons, that come with proposed writing prompts. So there's a variety of things that you'll see in here. Off to the left are the ways that you can search. you'll see that there's a really nice balance of fiction and nonfiction. We've got 555 nonfiction, 455 fiction. You'll see that we've got an opportunity to do some really nice cross-curricular teaching here, lots of history and social studies. We can search by the theme. We can search by pieces that have audio text highlight. We currently have 22 Spanish texts in here. These are translated texts, but we're about to be adding a huge chunk of authentic literature, authentic Spanish literature, so that part of our library is growing. We say that at a minimum, you will see this library grow by at least 10 pieces every month. But I have to say, it is growing far faster than that. So I encourage you just in your month-long pilot to look at how many texts are in here now and how many are in here at the end of your pilot, and it'll be growing. And you know, we guarantee that this will continue to grow for the life of an adoption. One other thing I want to point out, or two other things I want to point out before I set you free here, is that you'll see that right now I'm in the texts library, but right next to the texts says skills. So all of those skills lessons that we saw are libraried here. So maybe you're putting together your own unit, which StudySync is about to be providing you the opportunity to do, is to build your own unit that you can store and save on here and come back and share. And this is going to show you, here's all the skills that we have, all the skills lessons we have, and you can pull out whichever ones you decide you want whenever. We also have all of our units libraried here. So first you'll see that these are the thematic units right here that we've already put together, but we also have full text units, 32 full text units. And what these are, and this is one tool that you might use if you're swapping out one of those full text studies, but what you'll see here are, I'll pull up a 12th grade one, is a full text study, but when we look at the instructional path, what we're providing you is, in this case, each section, or each chapter or each chunk of chapters. When you click into those, you'll see that we've already provided you, well, that's not good because that's the same thing. We've provided you comparative texts. So you'll see that we've brought in comparative text pieces along the way with complete lessons that talk about comparing those texts. You can assign the text, and then you can assign that activity to compare the two. So this is a really cool opportunity if you do novel-based units, or if you're switching out a novel within our instructional path. So I'm going to encourage you to play around in the library. Open up or search for some of your favorite titles, and note that if you don't happen to find your favorite title, you can always suggest a library item, and those are continually being looked at and added. You can also create a library item. So maybe you want to publish some of your students' work or something, and that will just publish within your own subscription. So go ahead and play it in the library. There's a lot of fun happening in there. units. And then off to the left, full text units. Except by type, under type. Yep. And then search. And that's all of the ones. But then you text. So just click into one of those. And then go in the instructional. Yep. Yeah, it depends. They're a little different, but like you can click into like any of the acts, and sometimes it's only a comparative text, or sometimes it has you take a closer look at the play you're looking at, and then gives you a comparative text.
Okay. So this is the comparative text. That's the.
We were at the library. Remember Terry showed me something where she would just like click on the library and it scrolled all the way to the bottom, and there was like, is that for the ones that we have like a full text study for maybe or something? It's so like if you're in the library and you are just looking at any of these texts, and you just click anything open here.
Oh, it tells you everything that it has for that text.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you scroll to the bottom. So right there is all the related library items. Yeah.
Library items.
And then it's a hyperlink into those other ones, which is cool. Yeah.
Why do I have all?
This dress gets caught on everything. So, did we find anything cool or interesting in the library? Anything we want to share?
The full text is pretty cool.
Yeah, with the comparative text pieces. Yeah, I mean, you could really build a whole unit off of that. You know, you start with that and then pull in some of the skills lessons, and you've created your own novel-based unit. Or you can pull that full text study in, like I said, if you're swapping out To Kill a Mockingbird or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving here, and we only have about 25 minutes left, and I want to have you guys interact with me in the blasts. So go ahead and click over to the next tab to the left of the library. And we've seen how blasts have an academic purpose within our instructional pathway, right? So we have academic blasts that teach skills and concepts, but we also have current event blasts. And what you're seeing scrolling across right here, just like we would, see in a lot of our media sources, is all of our most recent current event blasts. You're going to see 5 new current event blasts every single week. There's going to be a STEM blast. You'll see one that has a cool like NPR-like type recording, and then a variety of other hot topics and current events. And so you can scroll through there, but you'll see, just like in our library, that you can search for a variety of types. So maybe, again, you're putting together a novel-based unit, and you want to see if there's a blast on a certain topic or a certain skill. You can look through here and assign any of those blasts. So for the sake of looking at something current, so I just saw this magical debut. This is the Harry Potter theme park that's opening up right now, right? It doesn't get any more current than that. You hit launch this blast, and then you get kind of your teacher view of the blast. Couple things to note here is that when you're looking through here for the current event blasts, there are 3 different Lexile levels that we can assign this blast in. You can either assign it to specific students at specific levels, or you'll see there's a little print button so you can print those different pieces. You'll see that when we scroll down to the bottom here, There are research links. These are vetted research links that go from least complex to most complex. So if you find a topic that your students are really into, or maybe you want it to just like trigger a Socratic seminar or a writing piece, you could get it started with a blast and then provide them with those links to continue to do research and come back and again do that Socratic seminar, a philosophical chair, or a writing piece. So what will happen, and we're going to do this together right now, is that you'll go in, you'll read the reading piece, you'll respond to a prompt. You'll notice in this case I have 140 characters. What does that make you think of? Twitter, right? A tweet. And this little tidbit of limitation really makes the kids excited, and it really brings it back to something that they're familiar with and they're engaged by. So this is an opportunity for them to really use concise language to respond based on the reading they did. Then they'll respond to a poll and hit submit. And then once they hit submit, we get to do an anonymous peer review activity. So we're going to experience that for ourselves. I'm going to go back to my blast index and see if there's anything else that we want to do here. So you can click through and look at the different types of blasts that are available right now. Weathering the drought, hot topic there. Back in October, there was the sorry, I was distracted. There was the landing on Mars, and then there was the Martian came out, right? And there was a really cool blast available on Mars that's still there if you want to use it, but you know, very current, very, very hot topic. Here's one on what's the government's responsibility for regulating school lunches. I'm gonna pretend like I'm the teacher. I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to assign this to my students. So I'm gonna just click right here and say I want to use this for a new blast assignment. And this is how I do any of my assignments. So once I hit assign, it's going to look like this. Oh, and you know what? I always do this. I apologize. I need to log in as myself and not the demo. So I'm going to log back in real quick and go in and go to the blast and find that same blast, hopefully. Here we are. All right, so I'm going to view this blast. I want to assign it. I'm going to hit use for assignments, and there's my demo class, which is what you guys are going to be today. I can scroll down. I can decide which Lexile level I want to assign it to, what dates I want it to be assigned, and then I just hit create, and that's now populated in your online account. So what I'm going to have you do is out or click out of your StudySync app, and when you get to this, or your StudySync screen, and when you get to this spot, you're going to log out. Okay, right here. So log out. And I would like you guys to log back in as my demo students. So here are your logins, and just notice that there's a username. Oopsie, I'm so sorry. Your username and your password are those bottom lines. And the username is not case sensitive, but the password is. So just make sure you have that capital G. Would you like to participate? Does anybody want to do a blast with us?
Yes, I do. Do you need to blast away?
I don't need you to. Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I do. Okay. Okay, so once you get logged in, pause on that first screen and I'll walk you through the next steps. So I'm going to log in also as one of the demo students so that you can see.
No, she likes the dog.
I know, I always say I should really have a different set of these when I go to Southern California because they're not very impressed. Okay, so once you log in, you will see this screen. And then you want to click into the StudySync app. So the StudySync logo, excuse me. So click on StudySync. And then we're going to click on it one more time. And then pause here. I did. No, I did a different one.
Oh.
Okay, so what I want you to see here is that this is what it looks like when your student logs in, right? So your students will have a login, and this is the screen that they see when they log in. Go ahead and just hover. Don't click on anything, but just hover over the assignments tab, the review tab. Oops, I clicked. The binder tab. You'll see that it tells me how many assignments I have, how many assignments are overdue, how many blasts I have. That binder is another really awesome piece of information. So the binder is an opportunity for StudySync students, for the life of their StudySync career, to basically create a portfolio of their work. So let's say they became StudySync students in 6th grade, and you now have them in 12th grade. All of the work that they've completed in their StudySync account is in there. Lots of cool implications here, right? So we have an opportunity to see a portfolio of their work. Maybe I'm their 10th grade teacher and I'm seeing some weird things happening in their writing, and I'm wondering if this has been going on for a while. I can go in and I can look at their binder and their previous work and see if this is something common. Maybe we're having an IEP or something like that. We can pull up their work and easily show their work in a nice portfolio that's held online. So that's what the students are going to have in their binder. Both them and you have access to that always. I want you to click into the blast, and again, scrolling across the top, just like our favorite ads, are the blasts that you have assigned to you. You'll see that there's 3 dots down here. Those are the ones that are scrolling through. So if you want to click into one and it already passed, so I want to do that lunch one. We're all going to do that lunch one. I know it's the 3rd dot, so I'm going to click the 3rd dot. Yes, that's what I want to do. So now I want to click launch this blast. Okay, so once that lunch one appears, please select launch this blast, and I would like you guys to pause there. Okay, so this is one of our listen current blasts, and what that means is that you're going to have a NPR like radio broadcast that's going to support some of the background information for this blast. It's not a reading of the text, but it's very similar information. So again, it's just another opportunity for those listening and speaking standards, and we're really going to just practice listening. So I'm going to play this whole group for us right now.
Good nutrition is a national issue in the United States, especially in schools. What is the government's responsibility in keeping young people healthy? This is your Listen Current StudySync Blast. I'm public radio reporter Monica Brady-Myroff. There is growing concern about obesity, diabetes, and heart disease in the United States. The government is becoming more involved in food-related issues, especially in school lunches. Millions of students also eat breakfast at school, so these meals are important in keeping kids healthy. The Child Nutrition Reauthorization Act controls many federal nutrition programs and sets standards for the nutrition in school meals. Some groups believe nutritional standards for school meals should be healthier, and some believe standards are too high. Poor nutrition is also a matter of national security. In the past, school lunches provided a way for students to prevent malnutrition and allow people to enlist in the military. Today, the main reason Americans are unable to enlist is that they're overweight. The U.S. Department of Defense spends $1 billion a year on weight management and health care. Kids develop eating patterns when they're young, and these habits are harder to break later if they're unhealthy. But healthier foods often cost more. Schools suffering from financial hardships have a hard time meeting nutrition standards. Legislation was recently revised to allow poorer schools to serve frozen or canned produce. Still, the meals served at schools are not healthy unless students choose to eat them. To make that happen, the food needs to be tasty and nutritious. What do you think? Should the government force schools to make lunch a healthier meal? Is there a better alternative to keeping Americans healthy?
Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and read this short article. Once you read the article, you're going to enter your response here, fill out the poll, make your poll selection, hit submit, and then you're going to pause there.
Characters.
So once you come up with your response, no abbreviating.
Oh.
We're going to use whole, concise language, appropriate grammar.
Compound complex sentences.
No run-on sentences.
Not word. We need
Food.
food is good.
Food.
Yum yum.
Good for me. Bring on McDonald's. Hungry.
Well, see, you could have abbreviations, writing standards or audience and task dictates.
Absolutely, and that's a conversation you would have with your students. Maybe sometimes you have abbreviations, maybe sometimes you can write like you might text.
Yes, that would have saved me some characters.
But sometimes, exactly.
Because guess what? When you don't know what to say, you say a lot.
Well,
Because eventually you'll get to something good.
just keep writing. Keep writing.
Keep talking, keep writing.
Well, it's good though because it helps us to get our students to get some of those like and the and then and she, like those extra filler words. Helps them to be more concise with their thoughts.
Punctuation is your friend.
Punctuation. Have we all submitted our poll and our responses yet? There's some rule followers in the room and there's some non-rule followers in the room. Just saying. Okay, so once you complete your response and your poll, this is going to say, all right, good job, blast away, rate your peers. So don't do this yet. I'm going to show you what this looks like, and then I'm going to give you a chance to begin the process. So what appears here are your peers' blasts. So anonymously, I've got somebody else's blast here. I get to give them a star rating, and I get to respond, or I don't have to respond. I like to encourage the students to give written responses. It just makes it more interactive and interesting. And then you submit, and then a new one will pop up. Then your response is over here, and it'll begin to populate and show you how people are rating and responding to your review. And then once a bunch of us do about a few of these, about 5 of these, we'll get a chance to see the top 10 blasts. So who's our most highly rated? And then we also have the response to everybody's poll results. So go ahead and just kind of quickly go through these so we can see the effect of everybody sharing out their responses. And sometimes if the top 10 blast or your response ratings aren't populating, notice that there's a little refresh symbol. And so you can hit that refresh symbol and that will update it for you if it's not updating on its own. So you'll notice that our top 10 blasts are starting to populate down here. If yours isn't showing up, you either need to provide more blasts responses or hit that refresh. I'm going to just give you one more minute so that we can wrap up here. You were that student, are you, Zoe?
Was then, am now.
Something's never changed. Okay, so let's wrap up our thoughts and come back together. We just have a couple minutes and I want to share some things with you. So, as you can see, these are fun, engaging activities, just like I can't get your guys' attention back. You may have that problem with your students, but that's okay because we want them interested in what they're doing, right? So any thoughts or ideas based on this blast experience? What do you guys think? Can you see how it might be used? Any questions? Moving on. So, you can see how this might be a really nice conversation starter. A lot of times kids will get blast responses and they'll say, well, I want to say something back, right? Well, that's a great place for them to be. This is how we're going to trigger that curiosity and that interest and that excitement to write a paper, write an opinion paper, right? Write an argumentative paper, have a Socratic seminar or a philosophical chair, and let's have this conversation. So this is, you noticed from me assigning it to you completing it, that was like 10 minutes. So these are really intended to be short activities, 10, 15-minute activities. You can make it as long as you want. But really this is intended to just kind of trigger some thought, get kids excited about reading and writing and having good conversations, okay? So that's what a blast looks like. And then one thing I want to make sure I show you before we leave each other today is when your students complete the work, what does it look like from your side, right? So let's look at the blast we just did, for example. So I'm going to go in to my teacher account and bless you. And what I want you to see is that we have an assignments tab, okay? So in my assignments tab, it's very self-explanatory how we're going to look at the different responses to the assignments. So first, here are all of the assignments I've created. Here is the one we just did, right? So this is the blast, the lunch laws. I can click into this little magnifying glass and see the student version of this assignment. I can edit my assignment choices. So maybe I meant to get to the blast today, but we didn't. So I'm going to put it on their assignments for tomorrow. Click in there, change the dates, and that's updated. But the report is how I'm going to see the responses. So I can click into report. And this is true for any assignment. So a writing assignment, think questions, any of the assignments the students complete online. And here I can see which of my students completed it. There's even a timestamp of when they completed it. I can see how many reviews they gave to other students and how many reviews they received. Again, a student says, this is Neil, somebody wrote a really rude thing on my account. I can look at that student, see the reviews they received, and see the name and exactly what was written. I can remove that comment, all kinds of information there. But again, if I'm responding to a written piece or a blast or whatever, I go into my review. So I clicked into the my review right here. The student's work shows up. I have an opportunity to review it. If this was a writing piece, I could highlight and annotate just like we could the reading pieces, but I might say, this is a run-on sentence or whatever, and it'll show up to the student. They can click on it just like an annotation and see any of the reviews you've given. At the bottom, you always have a chance to do a written response, and then there'll be that opportunity down there. Once I give this rating and I hit submit, you'll see that now I have next for review, and it just switches over to the next student. So it's really easy to just get to the next student work. It's just like turning pages right in front of you. So you don't have to click into every student and whatnot. So I can just, submit it, look at the next student, submit my response, look at the next student. And this is going to be true for any of the types of assignments you have. One other thing I want to note before I wrap up here is that any of the writing that's completed on the platform here is subject to to plagiarism checker. The plagiarism checker is always running in the background. You don't have to do anything. It is always going, and it is always going to check the student's work. When it identifies it, then you'll get a tag that says, you need to look at something's not right here. You can click into it, and it shows you exactly what has been flagged as similar. It's going to check against all other students within your subscription for the life of your subscription. So if you have a sibling of somebody that you had a couple years ago and they happen to come across their work and use that, then it will identify that and it will show you exactly where it's identified the similarity. So pretty powerful tool that is always running at your fingertips. So
Now, would the plagiarism come up on if you're using a quotation up from the book and you've got the citations and stuff for it?
no, it's from the written work, the written
Okay.
responses.
No,
Good
what
question.
I'm saying is, like, the student is quoting a passage
Right.
from the book, and they cite it.
Yeah.
Say that, so it won't come up as
No.
plagiarized.
No, yeah, because we want them to do that, right? Yeah.
Going like, well, that's going to be an awful lot of plagiarism.
There's a
coming out
difference.
saying-
There's a difference between quoting a text and quoting your friend, right? So that's what we're
Buying the
looking
paper
for.
offline.
Yeah. No, good question. So hopefully you've seen some of the ways that we're really inspiring and engaging students, where they're engaged outside of the classroom and engaging them in our language arts time of their day. We're also providing a lot of empowerment with tools like the library and flexible assignments, as well as that foundation, right? We've got the basics for, if you're a brand new teacher, here's what you can teach and really access and meet all of the needs of your standards. So please feel free to reach out to Lynn and Karen at any time along the way if there's some extra support you need, questions you have. Christina, you want to add something?
There's a few other little jazzy bits. On the cover of your gray folder is your personal login for your account, and all of your students are in there. So that's where you get all of your, like, this is where you would teach from. So there's that. There's a lot in your gray folder, but there's a couple of items that probably you want to draw your attention to. This one, it's entitled What to Do Next. This is where you get Lynn and Karen's contact information, as well as Allison. So like, let's say you have students that you need rostered and things like that, you can email Allison to have you help out with that. Lynn and Karen can help you with that as well. But this is kind of a great document. It's like, okay, now that you've kind of seen everything, this would be how you might want to go through and think about trying stuff out in the next, like, by the end of next week. Because today's Tuesday, that gives you, like, the rest of this week and next week, like, that you might want to go through and have tried to do all of these kinds of things. If you come up with a question, reach out to us. We're absolutely available to come in and help you, support you, whatever you need. I know you two ladies, we need to talk about, like, books. They're all at your school site. So there's 2 sets of Unit 3 and 2 sets of Unit 4. You two decide what you want to use. So because no one else is going to pilot, it's just 2 of you.
Okay.
Have at it. Let us know
Okay.
what you want us to pick up.
Okay.
And do they have the Google Docs doc in there?
Yes. So in your folder, you also have. There's a lot in here. But you have
They
the
use Google
integration.
Docs. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that if you're interested in trying that feature out, this is like a fabulous document with screenshots that takes you from how to get it set up to how to use it.
They should be on the right-hand side of your folder.
Yeah. Is there any way for me, as the resource teacher, to be able to, because we're going towards a co-teaching model, be able to access, the gen ed teacher has already got all the students in the classroom and stuff. How do I access their material so I can be monitoring them and stuff and making sure my RSP kids are doing the assignments and stuff like that without having to have that teacher log in and me check through them?
So that's the best way, because those assignments that they're doing are connected to that. Now, that being said, you could have, if a student's coming to you, you could have the students log in and look in their binder and see all of their work, so you don't necessarily need the teacher login. Yeah, so you could access it from the student.
Okay, before the IEP, I don't want to have to interrupt that teacher and stuff, because
Yeah.
my push-in times aren't the same as their things, and if they're teaching in class at that time, so they've got their computer access, how do I,
Yeah, so I would make sure you have the student access information for the students you're supporting.
Okay.
I've also got, we have one of our other pilots, we have a co-teaching situation.
Yeah.
And so they actually have created a class that both of the teachers access. And
Okay.
so the RSP students are the only students in that class.
Okay,
And so like Victoria is the teacher, so Victoria assigns from that class. And those are assignments she teaches to the whole collective.
right,
And then they've differentiated the instruction between the RSP kids and the core classroom kids.
Yeah.
yeah,
but that would imply that you are doing a full push-in model, so it
We are.
depends. So if
We
you
are.
guys are,
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely something that we can help you set up
Yeah.
with your core classroom
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah, because I have 2 of them for the language arts
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with.
So,
So-
7th and the 8th grade?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So then,
that's-
yeah, we can create,
Yeah,
a class that is shared with those students.
okay, yeah, because that would be great, that way then I can support them when, and not bother that
Yeah.
teacher or have to get slogging in the students and stuff, that way I can, when I have my time to sit down and case manage, I can sit down and read them
Yeah.
Okay.
and stuff and support the kids and then email her where I'm seeing problems and stuff that we need to work on.
Like, so then I would say just pick which one of the 2 of the girls you want to work with more. And then they can help you create the class because they can pull your students in and then they can help you do all of that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah,
And you can teach the program exactly how Karina presented it today
yeah,
with them.
yeah. We got the access for the auditory and I just went, oh my God, that is gonna be one of the best tools.
I know,
for my
isn't
kids."
that
Because
exciting?
it's like, they can't read this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I want them to access it, and I usually had to do the reading, but now, when I was doing SDC, but now we have an access to it.
I did not know who the RSP kids were in this particular class, so it's a co-teaching class.
Uh-huh.
And they asked me to come in and demo, like, day 1 of their pilot. They go, will you come in and launch it? I'm like, sure, why not, for entertainment's sake. So I did a blast, just one of the current event blasts with the kids. And the teachers gave me the names of the RSP kids, and so we differentiated it just for those 4. Then we made one class of just one EL student. And it was like, the teachers were like, we've never seen these kids actually engage the way that they
That's
are.
awesome.
I would never have known who they were if they never pointed them out.
Yeah.
It was that, and it was literally, I counted 7 clicks to assign the differentiation.
Right, and that's
That
what the
was
kids need, and then when they're on the computer, nobody recognizes it.
Right.
And so,
Because you
Right.
can, like, even
Yeah,
sitting
and then
side by
supporting
side, you would never tell that they were reading different texts.
And you're all talking about the same thing, right? So they
Yeah.
can participate in the conversation. The only difference is they're accessing the reading at a level they can comprehend.
right, and
Yeah.
that's what we're needing.
Yes.
That's what we're needing,
Yeah.
and, and stuff, that's why I said, no, I'm supposed to be supporting these guys, I need the training too, people.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you're here.
Glad you made it.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for us? All right, it's late, I know. Go home to your family.
Yeah, thanks for being here,
Thank
you guys.
you for being with us.
So
So
much.
can I don't have a great folder.
You know what, I don't have, can we get her set up with an account though?